And as usual, like, we talk about a lot of stuff, because it's not just uh, the workout that's important, but increasing their understanding of the world of health and fitness, and giving them greater autonomy and agency over their own health. And so what that basically means, what I'm trying to say is, in today's world, a person always always looks to some sort of expert or authority to give them permission or give them the tool that will allow them to be healthier. And the problem with this is that we live in a time and in a system where you can take advantage of that and make money from it and profit from it. And the thing is, to a lot of people, profit is the main thing. And I'm not saying all products are bad, or even any products are bad. There might be products that might come in hand once in a while, or for a particular situation. But when you completely give away all of your own critical thinking, or thinking to begin with, you are much more easily sold on stuff that you don't need and that doesn't actually give you what you want. So this morning there's a couple of things that came up, but it always starts with like, oh, is such and such good for you? Is such and such bad for you? Or what do you eat? And blah, blah, blah. And those are good starting points for the actual discussion of, you're assuming, like, let's take for example, like, there's still a lot of people who think protein is too much protein will harm your kidneys. Cholesterol is bad. Don't eat red meat. There's still a lot of people who think that. And what I suggested to them was to, rather than just take, they'll go, well, this study just came out and it says, this is bad for you. And the question to ask is, well, first of all, did you actually read the study? Which, by the way, no one is reading studies. And even for some people to read the abstract, that's even, not even a lot of people do that. They might just look at the title and that's it. They might not even look at the title of the actual study. They'll just read the headline of the article or the social media thing that is talking about it. And so the first question to ask is, first of all, who is funding this study? And if you start to do that, which even that takes work, because a lot of these companies, they have, they don't want people to know who's doing the funding. So they'll have different organizations that they create so that, it doesn't look like, let's say, for example, somebody in the food industry, some food company is sponsoring this study. So even that is that's a lot of work, like, you have stuff that you need to do. You got to go to work, you got to take care of your kids, etc. And so, like, they know people are not going to go that far. They'll read the headline, they'll be like, oh my God, cholesterol, blah, blah, blah. Well, even something like that thing was created, that, fat or cholesterol is bad for you, was created by pharmaceutical companies to sell statins, right? Like, this is, luckily, we also live in a time where you do have access to all this information. And plus, there are people out there who are doing that digging for us and sharing that information. And in like, for example, with the cholesterol example, cholesterol is actually very important, and you need cholesterol if you want to create hormones, right? And so here on one hand they go, okay, well, this is bad for you, so you should cut it out. And in order to make you feel better and fix this problem, what we need to do is we need to put you on statins. You and I, we don't know how much money the hospital or the doctor or the pharmaceutical company is making per individual that they put on statins. Because if they actually cared about the person in front of them, if they cared about that person's health and well-being, they would say, hey, you know what we need to do is we need to start, you have a very sedentary life, we need to start being more physically active. We need to maybe do some type of strength training, do some type of cardiovascular activity, and we need to start eating real foods, right? But that is not going to bring any revenue to the hello, I'm doing well. That's not going to bring any revenue to any of those organizations, right? And I always have to put the, you know, the asterisk of like, not all like please don't take it in the way of like, oh, all doctors are bad. And not all doctors even know. And so they're part of a system, and a lot of us are. We are all part of systems that we don't know where they came from. We're just in it, and we're doing what we think is the right thing to do. And so that just points us back to like, we have to take it upon ourselves as individuals to figure it out, right? Because that's the only way. And so, you know, there's so many examples, like the cholesterol example. And not only that, like, everything is about generating more revenue, more profit. And that, so for example, you go, okay, well, I need to take statins because my cholesterol is high. And then you cut out all the things that would actually put your cholesterol at the right place, and the activities that would then contribute to turning that into testosterone or whatever other hormones. And then what ends up happening is like, hey, Tom, your testosterone is super low. We need to put you on TRT. And Tom's like, oh yeah, man, I feel really shitty. And then on social media, you see all these people saying, you know, I felt so much better after I started doing TRT. Which you will. That's not a surprise that if you start taking testosterone, you're going to feel better, right? But that doesn't mean that that's the only way, or if it's the best way, because then they'll say you have to be on it forever. Man, I'll tell you what, I wish I had a business where I could tell somebody, like, you're going to have to take my product forever. Okay? Like, that's just what it is. Like, otherwise, you know, your testosterone is going to be, that's, but that's not how, like, real people, like, real people don't want to exploit other people. These things happen when the amount of people becomes so massive, and then there's giant organizations and companies where there's no, like, the people coming up with those things, they're not actually talking to real people in like one-to-one settings with their customers. They're not. And so this is just a reminder, like, do take responsibility for critical thinking, asking questions, and not just buying into whatever authorities or experts are saying, especially when what they're saying is tied to something that you have to buy from them. Okay. Now I'm a strength and conditioning coach, a fat loss coach. I've been doing this for a long time. I've reached a point where I don't actually want to sell anything. Like if somebody sees my stuff and they're like, oh, you know what, this makes sense, I like this person, let me work with them, cool, and that's fine. But it's just like, I've since I've been in this world for so long, and I've seen all the stuff and how easy it is to scare people into buying stuff, because, oh my God, this is a big problem, and then, oh, luckily for you, like, I have the solution for it, here you go. I just don't like it. Like, I've noticed a lot of changes in my own perspective about this stuff, and I never liked sales to begin with. There's stuff that's like, I'm like, that never sat right with me. Like all this objection handling stuff of like, if the person says they can't afford it, and then you make them feel shitty, and like that kind of stuff. And that even, and again, there's always gray areas. So like, maybe somebody went on that sales call for something and it helped them change their life. I don't agree with the tactics used to get that person to do the thing that they wanted to do, but hey, that person benefited. But in reality, like, majority of people, they're not benefiting from that. Like, they just feel worse and they go further down in the other direction. Which is why, like, like, very rarely do I have any call to actions, and even when I do, it's just like, hey, there's a link somewhere, if you find it, cool, if not, whatever. But that's the main point. To get back to the main thing, take responsibility, do the critical thinking, ask questions, don't just buy into everything that you see or read or hear, and remember that everything comes back down to basics that have never changed in physics and biology. Okay, strength and health and fitness does not belong to influencers, experts, corporations, doctors. It doesn't belong to them. It's just, it's something that is intrinsic to biology, right? This is nature. So 100 years ago, there weren't people who or there were a lot more people who were in great health and strength and had high testosterone, etc., right? And it wasn't because there were pharmaceutical companies helping them with that, or fitness coaches helping them with that. That just always has been there. And so that tells us that the basics will never change. So if you do some type of strength training, if you do some type of cardiovascular training, like I always say, it doesn't have to be crazy. Like, these are simple things. And, you eat real food for the most part, then you're going to be fine. You're going to be strong and healthy. Okay. What is cool, like, we don't also want to just make blanket statements of like, oh, everything was better 100 years ago. That's not true either. But the problem is when people get dogmatic and like, this is the only answer, and that's not true. We want to take whatever is good from different time periods. We want to take whatever is good from different methods, and different people sharing information. Whatever is good, you can take that. You don't have to take everything else, right? So anyways, Most studies are crap. Most studies are funded by people that stand to benefit from people believing what they're concluding in the study. And so you should just know that, and you should just operate from that perspective, because you'll get closer to the truth. Versus, I mean, you look around, people are so confused. Like, one of the things the guy said was like, oh, but that has too much salt. And I picked up my water bottle, 1.5 liter water bottle with 3 packets of salt in it, or electrolytes. I was like, dude, that's another thing that was created to sell pharmaceuticals. They create a problem and then they sell you the solution. Salt is necessary to survival. It is necessary for function of nerves, muscles, and hydration, and I'm sure so many other things that I'm not even aware of, or most people aren't even aware of, because the body and biology is so amazing, and how it all works. It's a beautiful thing. And like observing things like, they put out salt licks for animals, and then the animals will go up to the salt blocks and then lick them. Like, why do they do that? Why is that a thing? There's something to be learned in that, right? Yeah. All right. Well, it's time to go back to work. As always, if you ever have any questions, you can comment. You can find me on Instagram, send me a message. I hope you have a wonderful day, and get some type of lifting in, get some type of heart rate stuff, get those steps, and eat some good food. Oh, before I go, actually, I'll share. It's what I've been talking about or using a lot. Is I've been making these soups. So like, you just take a little of one of these guys. This is a chicken bone broth. There's all kinds. And then you just heat it up, throw it in something, put some seasoning in it, like some ramen seasoning or some chicken soup seasoning. And it is extremely helpful to keep yourself full, get a bunch of nutrients, and keep your calories down. So to get, obviously fat loss, if you want to lose fat, you want to decrease your calories while staying as full as you can, and these things help you to do that. So